So, Mr. Scorcher, tell me what's on your mind.
Hey, Doug. I'm going to serious. Does this feel weird to you?
In what way?
I don't know. It's... never mind. It's not important.
Very well. Tell me what's on your mind.
You ever think there's a downside to internet fame?
I suppose that depends on what facet of internet fame you're talking about.
Well, even in like horse fame or just basic internet fame, I am appreciative that I am famous. Don't get me wrong. I am appreciative that I'm showered so much love, attention, and gifts. But lately I've been noticing that there are a lot of unprecedented downsides.
Can you give me some examples?
Well, I suppose it started back when I tried my first response video. Basically, one of my videos, which I'm actually kind of not proud of, I basically said that I hated this video game called Okami. I didn't think it was a very good game. And people didn't like that, so I made a tiny little vlog set going into more detail of why I didn't like it. Some woman, I'm going to call her a woman because she was 18 at the time, took issue with the fact that I didn't like what was apparently her favorite game. She even said so. And she made a whole video responding to me and trying to pick apart my points. Needless to say, she didn't pick apart my points very well.
I see.
So I responded back to her, telling her how her reasoning was flawed, and I essentially picked apart her points. Well, unfortunate, and I released it on my channel. What I didn't expect was my fan base to go over to her channel and attack her.
Oh dear.
Yes, there were a lot of comments that I would rather not repeat, but basically they left a lot of hate and death threats, and that really made me angry to know that my fan base, who loved me, adored me, and looked up to me, I had the indirect influence to make them do that, and I wasn't going to stand for it. I put another video out soon later, just saying, "Hey, no, you can't do that." But still, it's knowing that I have that sort of influence over people. It's kind of scary.
Mm-hmm. I can imagine. Goodness, I can't say that I could relate to that specific example, but then you've been making videos on YouTube a lot longer than I have. And you've certainly included a lot more variety in your work than I have, at least I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure how I would go about talking to someone else in a response video, at least as how you describe, but in a way I can understand that some people can take what you say and consider it truth, consider it fact, because they respect you and they idolize you and they maybe in some ways want to be just like you. And they want to adopt your opinions and your influences and your inspirations. So, yes, I can understand when someone sees that you dislike a certain game or a certain opinion of someone else's, that they would want to adopt it and try to reinforce it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they would reinforce it in the way you would.
Yes. I did two more response videos after that, and the results were exactly the same. So after the third one, I just realized that my fan base just isn't going to learn no matter how many times I lecture them on it. And so I just stopped doing response videos altogether. And retroactively, I realized that response videos in general just really aren't a good idea, but because, well, they're kind of just a recipe for disaster, because they involve a lot of work just throwing rocks at each other, and I don't entirely feel that's productive.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, just knowing that I have that much influence over people, and I essentially have an army of unwitting crusaders. It's not a pleasant feeling. I do like when they think my opinions are valid, but I don't like it when they take it to that sort of extreme.
Some of that same kind of behavior has actually happened in the MLP fandom now that I realize it. Like, I've heard stories about people who, for one reason or another, didn't like a particular episode, and in rare cases even sent death threats to the writer of that episode because they didn't like how a specific character was written. And that just boggles my mind that, for one, people would feel so passionate about how they think a character should be written that they feel their opinion is more valid than those who actually work on the show, and on top of that, believing that they have the right to give death threats in any kind of situation. It's unfortunate, but it is going to happen. It's certainly not unique to internet fame. This has been around a long time before internet even came about. But what would be the answer if responding to them directly wasn't useful in your opinion?
Well, lately, you know how celebrities, whenever they're asked their opinion, they just decline to comment or just try to get out of there? Now I feel like I finally understand why they do it. It's just a can of worms they just don't want to open.
Because there's so many times when something they say can be interpreted the wrong way.
That's one way. It's just a time bomb. It's volatile. It's like one little nudge could just send the potassium over into the bottle of water and kablooey. Mm-hmm. There's also other things that I've kind of noticed about some downsides to internet fame. I'm not entirely sure if it's exclusive to me. Probably a lot of other people go through it, but ever since I've gotten the fame, there's been a compulsion to please my audience. There's been a compulsion to constantly improve, go above and beyond, just to make sure I keep them happy and I keep the praise. I'm not sure if that's me serving them or if that's just me being greedy. I really don't know.
I imagine that there's probably some facets about it that are serving yourself in some way. I wouldn't necessarily call it being greedy, because it's not just to serve yourself, but it's really human nature to want to feel validated in what we do. To have other people, even lots of other people, approve and want more of what you do. That's fairly common. There's always a point where you can take it too far, and we've seen many, many examples of celebrities that want the fame so badly that even long after they're out of the spotlight, they are still going to any lengths just to get any kind of attention. But I wouldn't feel too terrible in the fact that part of the reason you're doing what you're doing is because you are looking for that praise. I still believe that a lot of what you are working on in your videos is because you are, as you say, improving. That you want to reach above and beyond what you've done before and improve upon your talents and try something you've never done before. That's something I've been encouraging a lot of people to do in many of my previous videos, and something I hope a lot of people can and still will learn.
I guess I'm just trying a little too hard just to not be selfishly motivated. I mean, I do suppose that humans do have an inherent selfishness in them, Doesn't mean I like it, but I suppose if it is human nature, I shouldn't hate it too bad.
Everyone has that need to feel validated. Not everybody needs to get in front of a huge crowd and get cheers on stage, because not everybody wants that kind of validation. But even validation of someone who is very passionate about a hobby and even just has a few people around them appreciate all the effort they put into that hobby, that can mean the world to so many people. And in a way, yes, I can understand that that is part of what's feeding your passion for making YouTube videos these days.
Yeah, that makes sense. Another thing that I've noticed about downsides to internet fame is I can't post a YouTube comment anymore without everyone noting about it.
It's basically that ever since the fact that Google Plus and YouTube have kind of merged, that anytime we post a comment on a video that so many people can see it and so many people even feel the need, hey, we need to respond and show, hey, we like to see you comment. We like to see your opinions. We want to see you commenting more on all these other videos so we can hear your thoughts and opinions.
And I do want to appreciate them really very, very much, but most of their comments really do consist of, oh, hey, it's Josh Scorcher. Fancy meeting you here. I didn't know you watched this guy's videos. That's awesome. Hey, can you check out my countdown? I'm a little new. I really hate mocking those kinds of people, but I get it all the time, and I love my fans so much. I really do. It's just a couple of them. I'm kind of scared of, to be honest.
I suppose that goes back to the earlier point of feeling validated. Someone that I enjoy watching also loves watching this channel and these videos. And so I feel like I can relate to this person in this small way. Validation. Feeling part of something that has other people being a part of. I don't know. It's just, again, there's always going to be a point where it gets a little too far. Because I know the feeling where several, if not a dozen people every day are asking, can you please look at this video I made, or read this article I wrote, or listen to this music that I put together. They respect what you do. They want to, in a way, be like what you've been doing.
I remember at the beginning when I would have snatched any request up for that. I remember a time when I would actually offered to edit another person's video for them. Their entire thing, just a little credit, and I could have done their entire video. Nowadays, I would shake myself by the neck and go, "Are you crazy?" But yeah, I wish I could. Every time I decline a Skype contact, every time I ignore one of those messages, I feel like I'm pulling my heart out and stomping it to bits. Because I really don't want to do that. I really want to connect with every single fan. I really want to do this, but I'm human too, and I can't. I wish I could, but I can't, and frankly, that sucks.
I suppose in my case, it's reached the point where I realize that if I'm spending an hour with an individual fan and compare that to 1 hour that I could be using to edit a video that will reach hundreds, if not thousands of people, there have been many times where I've had to simply say to myself, I want to be able to help a great many instead of connecting with a select few, because you have to make that distinction every once in a while.
And I hate making that distinction.
Yes.
I hate making those choices.
There was a time, like you, when long ago, I would have adored every Skype contact I received and answered every single YouTube message with pages upon pages of my own personal thoughts. But it reaches a point where you either have to slow down making videos or slow down in your everyday career or slow down on not getting enough sleep, which I have to admit, I have been guilty of that on many occasions. And people keep telling me, you got to take better care of yourself, Dr. Wolf. But I think that we can keep finding ways of getting a better balance. We make choices, and we don't always like those choices, but we can still improve here and there. We can still find little bits of pieces of answering people's questions while still working on those videos and while still taking care of ourselves, while still connecting with friends and everything else we want to do.
You know, it's funny. When I was a kid, I always had like these little delusions of grandeur. How it's like, one day I'm going to be so great that every little shred of evidence of me, people are going to fawn over.
Oh, wow. I can only imagine what my life would be like if that actually happened.
It's people are going to say, oh, this is where Josh went to school. Oh my gosh, this is where Josh lived. Well, I'm only getting a fraction of that right now, and already I want to strangle my younger self.
Oh, goodness. It's kind of like that phrase, the grass is greener on the other side.
There's a benefit, but there's always a downside.
I think it's wonderful that we're able to leave our impact on so many people. I think it's wonderful that I've discovered so many talents about myself that I never knew existed. If I hadn't taken that step outside of my comfort zone, if I hadn't decided I'm going to see what I'm capable of, what would my life be like right now if I never was able to reach out to so many people? That is a wonderful opportunity. I want to make the best of that opportunity. It's scary, and there's a lot of unexpected twists and turns along the way, but what would my life be like without that opportunity, that influence?
I'd imagine you'd be dealing with a whole different set of problems, but maybe even a whole different set of benefits.
Maybe.
And life changes so much that we constantly have to deal with new benefits and new problems. And I guess the fame is a benefit, but it also comes with its set of new problems, and just gotta learn how to deal with it, I suppose.
Well, I suppose eventually you and I are still going to reach levels and places that we never thought we were capable of. Even now, looking back, we're surprised at how far we've come, but there's always going to be a new high and even a new low that we have never thought would ever happen. I'm almost expecting that, even though it is entirely unexpected.
Surprises happen. I'm used to it.
Well, is there anything else that's on your mind today?
Figuratively or literally?
You pick.
Neither.
Neither. All right. Well, Mr. Scorcher, I'm glad that we were able to have this kind of discussion because, honestly, we have covered a lot of questions and a lot of answers, but looking back on it, I've come up with a whole new set of questions and answers I never really thought about before. I mean, this is the kind of subject that's going to continue to evolve, not just for ourselves, but for those that watch what we do and for those that we try to still aspire to be in some ways.
Well, that's gonna charge.
Whatever works for you, Mr. Scorcher.
Yep. Thanks for taking the time to see with me.
You have a lovely day.
Yep. I really need to go to the bathroom.
That's like how
It's good to be helping.